Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I kind of want to go over a question that I received in one of my videos. But before we do that, I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, I realize I have been away for quite a while actually. I had decided around April to kind of just take the month off and relax a bit. But then I kind of got lazy and forgot to upload any videos for kind of like the past 2 months or so. So I do apologize for that. I have been getting quite a few comments from you guys, and I'm going to start working through those. So expect a few videos in response to your questions. If you have any other questions, just feel free to leave them down in any of my videos. I try to respond to as many as I can, but I might not get to them because there's just a lot of them. And also, I do greatly appreciate all you guys that have been subscribing and liking my videos and leaving comments and saying thanks and all that good stuff. So I truly appreciate it. If you guys found this video useful, as always, consider subscribing or leaving a like. I do greatly appreciate that. But with that said, let's kind of just jump into it. So for today's video, I want to respond to a comment I got on this pretty old video I created on how to create a PDF in Salesforce with Visualforce and Apex. Now, essentially in this video, what I had kind of done is we went ahead and we created a PDF, which you can kind of see here in the video. And essentially what's happening is for each of the tables, so you see here, there's like a table for invoiced opportunities and not invoiced opportunities. I had created a SQL query for each of those. And then we basically just, displayed the first SQL query result here and then the second SQL query result here. Now, this person, Annie Peterson, she's asking if there's a way to basically, just do one SQL query instead of two. And again, this being a one SQL query with opportunities where I believe the stage name was set to like 1 or something. And this one where the stage name was set to lost or something else. Like I can't quite remember. But essentially, she's asking if it's possible to just have one SQL query with all the different opportunities regardless of stage name. And then somehow in the Visualforce code or the table itself be able to display, here are the ones, here are the lost ones, and different ones, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was an interesting question, mostly because it kind of sounds like it's more of an optimization question. So, and optimizations are always kind of a good thing to do in your code as you kind of go forward to make things more efficient. So this will be the first question I respond to. Hopefully it's not too late because I do believe this was about 2 weeks ago that you asked the question. So yeah, let's jump into it. You'll see here I'm using Visual Studio Code as I've explained in many different videos before. I'll leave a description, or I'll leave a link down in the description for a video I made on how to get this set up. Now, I'm not going to go about this through scratch. So I'll link down all the videos that are relevant to all this different code and stuff. And what we're going to focus on is pretty much just on that question, on how to basically go from 2 queries down to 1 query, and then being able to filter or render those conditionally in the PDF. So if a lot of this code doesn't really make sense to you, well, first of all, most of it's not relevant. So we can kind of just close out all the different methods in our Apex class. Because we don't really need to worry about it. All we need to know is we have a Visualforce page that gets rendered as a PDF, and there is a controller in the back end basically sending data to the PDF. And here are the 2 SQL queries in question. Essentially, we have one SQL query, grabbing opportunities, where the account is essentially that account ID we're looking at, or that's relevant, and the stage name is closed 1, and then the ones where it's closed lost. Now, essentially to solve this issue, or not really an issue, but more of an optimization, I do completely agree, or rather, I do think it's a good idea to, instead of doing 2 right here, we're doing 2 SQL queries, and that can kind of take time. It's not as efficient. Essentially, we can kind of just do one SQL query to grab all the stuff right here, and then we'll kind of have to think about some way to conditionally render our opportunities somehow in the Visualforce page. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm actually going to comment out these 2 right here, and we'll comment out this and this right here. Let's go ahead and create a brand new list. So we'll call this, it's going to be a public list of opportunities, and we'll just call this op list like so. Let's add our getter and setter so we can grab that in the Visualforce page. And right here, we'll go ahead and initialize it with the SOQL statement. So we'll grab the ID, basically just the same. And I probably could have just copy and pasted, but that's fine. So stage name from opportunity, where the account ID is equal to, and it's actually the colon should be next to the dynamic variable they want to grab, not like this. I don't remember why I did it this way, but I'm pretty sure that's not, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but the correct way to do it is, I believe, this way. But anyway, so we're going to grab all the opportunities where it's the account ID that we're interested in, and that's basically it. So just grab all the opportunities relevant to our account that we're working on and store them here. Pretty much that's all we need to do in the front end. We're just going to create a brand new list to hold our opportunities, regardless of the stage name, and then here is how we initialize them in our constructor right here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and hit save on this right here, and let's jump into our Visualforce page. So in here, again, I'm not going to kind of go over the Visualforce page from scratch because I have a lot of videos that kind of go very into detail about this. Like I said, this is more of just like an optimization of code. So what we're going to go ahead and do, let's scroll down a little bit. You'll see here we have a div that contains the invoiced opportunities and one right here that contains the not invoiced opportunities. And what we're going to go ahead and do right now, since we no longer have access to this win op list and the not one op list, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're now just going to change this to the op list. And the variable for that can be one op. That's fine. We'll leave it the same. And we'll go ahead and change this here. So essentially we're only going to work with that one list that we created here, or we initialized here and we created up here. And now we need to figure out some way to basically conditionally render this stuff. And the way I'm going to do that, or actually before I do that, I think these variables we did not, or these fields we did not grab from the SOQL query, so I should probably do that or else we'll get some errors. So we're grabbing ID name, amount, stage name. Let's grab the close date, and let's also grab the amount. Do we have the amount? Oh yeah, we have the amount. I think that's it. Yeah, so it's name, amount, stage name, and close date. So I think that's all the ones we need. Let me get rid of this comma right here. So we'll go ahead and save, remove that space. And then now here, like I said, we have this opportunity list that basically contains all the opportunities related to the account we're interested in. Now, the issue is, you know, before we had a SOQL query that contained just the ones that were won, or the ones that were invoiced. And I believe the criteria we had said was if the stage name is equal to closed won, we consider that invoiced. If the opportunity stage name is set to closed lost, it's a not invoiced one. So that's kind of the criteria we chose. Now, the way we do that is by making use of an Apex output panel, like so right here. So go ahead and open this. We'll close it, open and close it. And then we're going to take our tree elements and we'll just paste them in here. So now what this is going to let us do is let us essentially conditionally render something. And we're going to do that using the rendered tag or attribute right here. And right here, we're going to have some conditional statements. So I'm basically going to say, we're going to grab the current, the current opportunity that we called one op. And I don't really know if this is a good idea to call it one op. Probably should just call it op because at this point, it's not really, I mean, there's no way to differentiate, right? So I'll call this op right here. So we're going to say, iterate, or this apex repeat tag right here will iterate through this op list that we got from our backend Apex controller. And for the current iteration, we want to grab the stage name like so. And we're going to basically just do a simple check. So we're going to say, if the current record that you're iterating through is set to closed won, like this, then render this. And essentially this rendered attribute, it's expecting a Boolean. So, you know, basically by doing an equals operator or a comparison operator, sorry, it's either going to be evaluated to true or false. So, you know, if the current opportunity that we're iterating through via this apex repeat has a stage name as closed one, it's going to be set to true, which means render it out. If it's set to anything else, then don't render that current record. And that's essentially the way it works. Now, there is kind of a small gotcha with this. This output panel, much like a lot of the other Apex tags that exist, a lot of them will kind of like add pre-built, or actually rather, they will render into an HTML element, right? But some of them add like a lot of like padding and spans and margin that you might not really want. So basically, I don't want the compiler or renderer or whatever it's called, I forget the name, to add any additional styling because, well, you know, we kind of did that ourselves, you know, right? We added a bunch of styling beforehand, which I don't really remember what all this was for. I mean, it's relevant to the tables that we styled, but I don't really remember doing this because it was like 2 years ago. But anyways, so what I'm getting at, I know I'm kind of rambling. What I'm getting at is that we don't want this output panel to be rendered with additional styling that could probably interfere with the classes that we've already defined up above in our style section right here. So I'm going to set this layout attribute to none right here, and that essentially ensures that it doesn't add any styling that might mess up our tables. Okay, so with that done, this will essentially iterate through that entire op list. And if it was set to closed one, it will render. If it's set to anything else, it will not render. So that's kind of how you can do that. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing for this right here. Inside of the Apex repeat right here, I'm kind of just going to copy this right there. And we'll paste it there. We'll open up the tag. We'll copy the tree elements, or sorry, the table elements. We'll paste it there, and we'll just format it a little bit. And now for here, let's set the variable to just op, short for opportunity. And now this is going to be closed lost. I believe that was the correct term. And yeah, so now for this table that we're creating, this is the not invoice table of opportunities. We want to only display the ones where the opportunity was set to closed lost. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If some of this is not making sense or if I'm going way too fast, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll try to get back to you in a reasonable amount of time, hopefully not 2 months from now. Okay, so with all of this done, I'm going to go ahead and deploy this to our trailhead org by doing deploy source to org for the, actually I probably should have done the Apex controller first. This is probably going to fail. Yep. It failed because we don't actually have the op list deployed. So let's go ahead and deploy that first. Okay, so deployed successfully. Now let's go ahead and deploy the Visualforce page. Okay, so it deployed successfully, or actually, wait up, we got an error message. Unknown property 1 op. Okay, so let's go to our Visualforce page. And I think I forgot to change these to just the op itself. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, and the same thing for here. We can't really reference a variable that doesn't actually exist. So that's completely my fault. Okay, so once we have that, we saved. Let's go ahead and try it one more time. Hopefully now it's working. Deploy source to org. There we go, successfully ran. So now let's jump into our trailhead org right here. And let me go in, let's just go into an account. So ABC Computings. And you'll see here, this was part of a lightning, or a visual flow, sorry, that we were working on earlier. We're on an account. And I'll click this, and if none of this makes sense, again, feel free to refer to the description box below where I have basically a series of videos where we kind of like went from a very simple Visualforce Apex PDF generation all the way to a visual flow Apex Visualforce page generation that we then turn into basically a component right here that allows basically a user to generate a PDF on the account page layout. So that was an interesting series. But anyway, so we're making use of this so we can basically just see our PDF real quick. So I'm not going to add a message. I just wanted to preview it. Let's click the generate invoice button. Let's click this link right here. And we should see this is our invoice summary. And it looks pretty much the same because, you know, all we did was in the back end, just optimized a little bit. We started with 2 socket queries and we just jumped down to 1 socket query. So I guess essentially it's a bit more efficient. Jumping down to the code right here. This is what we're talking about. Beforehand, this Apex controller had to do 2 socket queries, and now it's down to 1. So I guess, I mean, it's not like this code is very complex, but if you run into some type of limits, Apex CPU timeout limits or socket query limits for some reason, if for some reason you have like over 100, well, now you have 1 less. So Anne or Annie, I forgot how to best pronounce your name. I hope you have found this useful. Again, feel free to leave any questions down in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you guys found this useful, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.